About 5.5 years ago, I had my first foray into using tubeless tyres. It didn't go well. I had my first puncture and all of the sealant just sprayed out and the tyre went flat. So I went back to tubes. Roll forward 5 years, I wanted to see whether the technology had improved and were tubeless tyres now viable. So I embarked on a set of investigations which you can see in my playlist above. The tests that I carried out in this video were to see whether the tyre sealant would actually seal holes in the tyres. This was based in my workshop rather than out on the road, but it should give a good indication of whether the sealant works or not. So let's go and have a look at what I found. I previously made a video about this tyre fitted to this carbon rim, and I couldn't get the tyre to seal on the rim. However, I have persevered and eventually I did manage to get it to seal, although it did take a lot of effort. However, when I pumped it up, the tyre went down. And that's because I found at least 2 holes in this. You can hear it hissing, and I marked them with tape. And another slightly larger hole, or rather cut, here. So what I'm going to do is put some tubeless sealant in the tyre. I'm using stand sealant, and I'm going to put in about 2 fluid ounces. I'm going to pump the tyre up. I can hear it deflating now. I can hear it going down. I'm just going to rotate the tyre around so the sealant goes over the holes. I can start seeing sealant on the ground already. I've just seen another hole here that's bubbling, one that I hadn't previously marked. This hole, I can't see anything coming out of it. Looks like there was another hole here. Another 2 holes. So it looks like this tyre has at least 6 holes in it. Let's swish the tyre sealant around the tyre. Now I'm going to try and pump the tyre up. I'm just going to put about 30 psi in. I can hear the air hissing out of the tyre already. So I will rotate this and the noise stopped. So I suspect the tyre sealant is doing some of its job. However, this hole here, as you can see, the sealant's coming out and you can see it bubbling. And that's only at about 30 psi. And the same is true for this one. The tyre sealant is bubbling out through that hole. It's not a particularly big hole. There's a small hole here. Again, that's bubbling. That's a tiny hole, probably only about the size of a thorn. Looks like there was one here, but that may have sealed. So 1, 2, 3 holes in this tyre have not sealed. And there may well be more. There's another one here, so 4 holes in this tyre not sealed. And these aren't large holes, they're probably about 1 millimetre or less, and that's at 30 psi. So I'm going to try and re-inflate this again, perhaps go to a slightly higher pressure. I think I'll take this up to about 50 psi. Something's going down. Yeah, that hole there. The air's leaking out through that, so it hasn't sealed. That one is leaking, it hasn't sealed. That one is leaking, it hasn't sealed. There's one here that's leaking, hasn't sealed. And another one that hasn't sealed. So this tyre sealant is not working too well. In these experiments I did use an old tubeless tyre, but I don't see any reason why it shouldn't give valid results. Initially I thought the tyre had 2 holes in it, but I discovered it actually had at least 6. Those holes ranged from very small, for instance the size that would be caused by a thorn going into a tyre, up to about 1 millimetre. When I added the sealant I found it didn't stop the tyre deflating, but it did seem to slow the rate of air loss.
The pressure loss was quite high, above about 30 psi, and then as the pressure dropped, the rate of air loss slowed. However, I did find that the tyre was still leaking air through the holes at a pressure as low as 13 psi. The fact that the sealant wasn't sealing the holes is consistent with my experience 5 or so years ago, and also with an incident that I witnessed out on the road. Now, if you're a lighter rider, it's possible that the tubeless technology may help you to limp home without changing the tyre. But for me, a rider that's on the wrong side of 90 kilograms, I don't think it will work. Also, on the road, nursing a tubeless tyre back home may actually just take more effort than fitting a tube. The bottom line for me is that tubeless technology for road tyres is just not ready. I found that it can take quite a lot of effort and time to fit and maintain those tubeless tyres, and the supposed benefit of no punctures is just not realised. In my experiments, even small holes didn't seal and the tyre deflated.
Because of the issues I've had with tubeless tyres, getting them to mount effectively and getting punctures to seal reliably, I'm minded to carry on using tubes in all of my tyres. However, before I give up completely, I do have a couple of tricks that I want to try, and I'll show you those tricks and the results in a couple of future videos. If you want to see those videos, please consider subscribing, as that helps me and the channel out. And also, if you found this useful, hit the thumbs up button. From me, for now, it's goodbye. Please consider giving it a thumbs up. Bumpy. Hey, thank you.